What is up, guys? We got Wes here, my co-host, Road to Black podcast, and our guest today is Aaron Wilson. What's up, Aaron?
What's going on, guys? Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
of course.
Thanks for coming on.
For sure.
We were all just chatting about how had a busy day today, busy week. You're coming off a trip to Pans.
Yeah.
So, maybe last weekend?
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about your experience at Pan.
Yeah, I took a little trip to Dallas-Fort Worth. Flew Spirit Airlines, so, very classy on my end. Enjoyed the flight. But yeah, I went out there and competed at adult, black belt, middleweight. And I was just super happy to be there. Like, I'm sitting in the bullpen, and I haven't competed in the IBJJF tournament for Worlds 2018 was my last.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it felt good to be back in the bullpen, be back in my groove. Kind of felt like I was home again. That particular rule set, IBJJF, really, I feel like fits my skill set and my abilities. So, yeah, it felt good to get out there. Didn't feel nervous. Felt, like I said, really happy in the bullpen. Felt super confident. So, yeah, I was just having fun. Like, went out there my first match, and I could tell the guy wanted to stand up and trade takedowns, and I was like, all right, dude, well, let's go. Let's do the thing. So, I forget the guy's name. Gentleman from Gracie Baja, I believe somewhere in Texas, was my first match. And we just kind of traded takedowns. It was pretty scrappy. He kept trying to hit me with some foot sweeps, bruised up my shins pretty good. But I ended up, I think I won that match like 7-0. So I went up to the next round.
Nice.
Yeah. Next round, I was supposed to fight Hinaldo from Autos. So I was like super stoked for that, because I was like, you know what, I'm out here. I flew all the way to Dallas. It's what I want to do with jiu-jitsu is I want to fight the best guys. I'm at that level now where I just want the competition. I want to win or lose. I just want to be out there doing my thing with these guys. So he actually DQ'd. He didn't show up. So I got to buy into the quarterfinals. So I went against guy who trains with Gianni Grippo and Paulo Miao. His name's Michael Trasso. I didn't know anything about him beforehand, but as soon as we started going, I was like, okay, this guy's definitely a wrestler. I can feel it. Typically, when you wrestle and you go against a guy that's a wrestler, you can kind of feel that right away. So, we started going and ended up just being a 10-minute wrestling match and going back and forth, and ended up losing by an advantage or two advantages, but I mean, I went all out until the very end. The matches on Flow Grappling, like, I was shooting. I think I shot like 6 takedowns in the last 30 seconds, just trying to take them down, trying to win. So went out on my shield for sure.
Yeah,
kind of sucks when you get that close to. I would have had a medal at a Pans tournament,
right.
Adult black belt. Like, I was like this close to it, but. I really can't be upset because, like I said, I went out on my shield. Like, I tried my very best, and at the end of the day, like,
yeah,
I was really happy with the results regardless.
Yeah, especially because it's been a while since you've been out there on the IBJJF circuit. Why, if I can ask, why did it take you so long to get back?
So a lot of things, actually.
I know you've been competing on other promotions during that time.
Yeah. So it's a whole lot of stuff. So, so basically,
you don't have to go into it too deep. I was just curious.
No. I mean, I can just touch base on it, but we're talking 2018. So coming up on about 3 years ago, I had actually just started EMT school that Worlds in 2018, and it was a summer school class, and I had the intentions of, getting picked up with the fire department. So. That was like my last tournament before I buckled down for school for the summer. So I competed at Worlds, during the beginning of my class. And then from there, it was just like a year of nothing but, fire stuff. Like EMT school, got done with that. Took my physical requirement test, got done with that. Interviewed, got hired, academy. And that led all the way up until, June of 2019 when I got my black belt. And then, of course, like I get done with the academy and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. And then I'm on probation at the fire department, which lasts like another 9 months after that. So don't want to get hurt. I'm like still in that weird range where like they can let me go. You know what I mean? So just a lot of like me not being able to do what I really love and just being patient and waiting for the right opportunity. And then when I got back to competition, I did a fight to win January 2020. That one here locally. I think you guys might have been at it, or you might have. Did anybody compete on it? Did you compete on that, Paul?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh no. Okay. So yeah, did that fight to win, and then right after that fight to win, I was like ready to go. I signed up for a bunch of tournaments, getting ready for stuff, and then COVID happened.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. So
here we are.
Yeah.
You took that Emerald.
Go ahead.
You took that Emerald City Invitational match too. So that was kind of your coming back?
Yeah, that was my coming back party right there. So that was the first time.
You had a great showing against a tough competitor from what is his name? From Fight Sports.
Yeah, JC Cavalcante.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you had a great showing against him.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so that was actually my first match at Emerald City was and I didn't know at the time because like there's jiu-jitsu guys that like really keep up with like the jiu-jitsu fighters and like the jiu-jitsu scene, and I'm just like not one of those guys. So a lot of these guys that are on the card, like I never heard of them. So the first guy I had, Nick Ronan, guess he's like hyped up a lot right now and is like on the up and coming. He's like changed all the DDS guys and whatnot. So I didn't realize how good he was until after I beat him. But I would like say for me, I had that surgery for thoracic outlet back in September. So it was pretty major surgery, and like that was my first match coming off of that surgery. So for me to get that under my belt and like go out there, make a statement, beat somebody good, like I was just so happy with that. Like that was like huge for my morale, because I just during the recovery and like I'm getting old, have a good job, like how much longer do I want to keep going with this, competitive high level jiu-jitsu stuff? But for me to go out there and like get a statement win against like a big up and coming guy, like that kind of just set the pace for like everything that I got going on this year.
Have you gone back and watched the commentary for your match against your first match?
Yes, I have. It's been like over a month since I watched it, but kind of what were they saying?
Well, they were obviously hyping him up a lot, and then it was when you beat him, it was a big upset in the tournament. Yeah. So I thought I was like, oh man, this is. Well, obviously I was really stoked, but showing up, get a big upset, and then just hearing the commentary. I mean, you faced some of the top guys. Certainly a big name in jiu-jitsu. Everybody should, if they don't know, they should. And coming out when they were, the commentary was acting slanted. Like this was it was super slanted. It was like they had already put him in at least in the second round, right? And then then when you came back out for your next fight, what's that?
Yeah, so I actually got that vibe. So like when we got to weigh-ins the day before, they were like, the promoter Sam, who's like the best dude ever, Emerald City, like they're awesome. Him and his wife run it, and they're just really good people. But anyways, he showed me the bracket, and he was like, "Hey, this is who you're fighting." And I saw, and I was like, "Okay, that's some guy. I don't know. He just seems like a guy."
Mm-hmm.
I got back to I got done weighing in, and they had the guys from Flow there, and they were like interviewing people right after weigh-ins. So like they interviewed the guy I was going against, and I'm standing there like an idiot, like, okay, they're gonna interview me, and the guy just looks at me, and then he like turns his back to me. I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, so I guess they're not interviewing everybody that's in the tournament, only the guys they want. So that was nice to go out there and then kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, little chip on my shoulder. That's kind of the mindset that I like to maintain, like kind of gives me an edge.
Mm-hmm. And to finish him too, the way you did, beautiful.
Yeah, I was surprised by it too, because I've been working on that knee bar for a while, but I'd have never hit it that clean even in practice. So that was like the cleanest that I've ever hit that knee bar. I was like, that's a good time to do
Perfect
it.
timing. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's just I think you get some of that just because you're maybe your name's not as big as some of these guys, but your performance didn't surprise me. I mean, we know in our circles what a beast you are. So those were two great matches. Even the one you lost, the second match. I mean, that was a war.
Yeah.
That dude's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
And,
good friend of mine now too. Me and him are buddies now.
Nice.
So he's on my combat
good.
jiu-jitsu card that I'm going to be on here coming up next
beautiful.
month. It's like six guys from
talk
that.
a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm doing the Eddie Bravo. There's the combat jiu-jitsu event with the smacking and slapping. So that is going to be June 6th in Cancun, Mexico. So 16-man bracket,
Nice.
170 pounds. Combat jiu-jitsu, the welterweights. Like I said, it's like six guys that were on the Emerald City card are on this as well. And then they got a couple like homegrown guys from Mexico that are on the card as well. And it's super stacked. Everyone on there is really solid. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it,
How is your training for that? How are you going about the training for that, and who are you slapping these days?
So I haven't actually slapped anybody yet. But truth be told, I was slapping people in jiu-jitsu rule sets before it was legal. So I fought MMA in the past. I understand ground and pound pretty well. I fought MMA for like 5 years. Today, training at Soul Fighters, I got kicked off. Can you guys see me? There I am.
Yeah, you're good.
We good?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, sorry. My
man,
screen
you're
went
good.
black for a second. Today I was training. Training at Tinquinho's today, and Tim Welch. I don't know if you guys know Tim. He has a Soul Fighters affiliate gym in Peoria. He has a podcast with Sean O'Malley. I was like changing in the locker room today, and he came in and he was like, "Did we get to slap Aaron today?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." So me and him had like a 10-minute round, like first round, and I was not expecting it, but he was smacking the crap out of me, dude. He was getting me in my face, and it's a good little wake-up call,
Really?
Because, it definitely adds like there's a layer to it, like it's like gives you a little like shock factor, but I was just asking the guys to smack me today while I was training, just so I can keep honest if I was like playing guard or whatnot. So
that's why I was wondering if you were going to change your approach, or if there was any kind of pointed difference you're going to go for. You just play your game, and then when the opportunities arise, you take advantage of punishing them a little bit,
So I've seen a couple things with this rule set. I went through and watched some matches, and there's guys that like don't hardly slap anybody at all, and they just play the regular game. And then there's guys that like are way too excited to slap people, and they're just doing like these wild, crazy, stupid slaps, and it's like you're not really hitting them, and you're like wasting a ton of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to be somewhere in the middle. I want to be calculated with it. So I know there's a rule where you guys get to stand, like the people get to stand for a minute and a half, and if there's no takedown or action, I think they start you in like a butterfly scenario, and then you go for there. I guess they just want to keep it exciting. They don't want to have guys standing for 10 minutes. So, I mean, my takedowns have served me well in the past, so I think if I can get some takedowns and then be really heavy on top and smack them up a little bit, that might open up something for me. Kimura trap, Darce, whatever it may be, but like I said, I just want to keep it like really calm, cool, collected, and if I am going to smack them, like, I'm not going to do like 5 little pitter patters. If I'm going to smack them, I'm going to hit them hard with everything I have from like a good angle. It's going to be a good strike, you know. I don't want to waste time on useless slaps. So
make it worth your while. Open up something.
Yeah, I want to make
create
think.
some movement
For sure. Yeah.
Sounds like a solid approach. It's going to be exciting. Cancun too.
I'm excited to go to Cancun. Yeah, I've never been to Mexico before, so it'll be an
Cancun
experience.
Is amazing place. It's beautiful there.
Yeah, I started following.
That'll be a fun time. Where do they have the event? Do you know?
So it's at Majestic Resorts. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, cool.
I started following them on Instagram, and it looks beautiful, man. It looks like it's all inclusive too, so you don't have to worry about anything. You just
That's
kind of go there.
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah. So I'm really excited.
How did you get on this card?
So I spammed them. I made a post on my story on Instagram, and I said, "Hey, everybody that knows me and cares about me, go comment on this post and tell them to put me on the tournament." So the post originally, when I posted that on my story, I had like 3 comments on the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Instagram post. And then by the end of it, I think I had like well over 100 comments. Like everybody that I knew went on there and was like, "Hey, get this guy on there." You know, it was really cool. And then
this is his rule set.
Yeah, exactly. Like it really does fit my style for my type of jiu-jitsu, which is kind of aggressive, kind of in your face, and not so nice, you know. And then Taquinho, and then my coach Taquinho also reached out to Eddie Bravo and put in a tip for me. So I think a combination of everything, like people spamming that post and then Taquinho putting a word in for me, definitely got it going. So I got some good people in my corner that are trying to help me out, and right now I'm just in a position where if something like this pops up, an event like this, like I kind of want to just do everything I can, you know.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this. Enjoying this year.
That was my question for you, is in 2021 and just moving forward in general, what's your thoughts? Like, what is your philosophy on what does it take to be like a successful high level competitor these days? Like, how much should you be competing? I know it's different for everyone. You have a family life, work, you know, you're doing this in addition to all of that. What's your personal goal in terms of, you know, having been away due to work issues plus COVID, now you know, I can tell in your voice and talking to you offline, you're ready to get back into this. What are your goals for the next year or couple years? You know, I know you want to take everything that comes up, but how often do you want to compete, and what is good for your mental and physical body to compete, you know, at a high level and still keep healthy, you know, stay fit for work as well?
Right. Yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of balance and think about, you know. I don't know if I have the right answer for it. I'm just kind of like playing it by ear right now. Like I'm at the point where, you know, like I don't know. I don't necessarily think I would do like a local tournament that's going to have like 1 or 2 guys that I've already competed against like 5 times. Like I don't know how beneficial that is for me, but you know, like when these big opportunities arise where I get to go against, you know, some of the best guys in the world, like that was my goal from the beginning when I started jiu-jitsu, was to compete at the highest level. So if I can get on a card where I'm doing that and going against the best guys, like that's I'm gonna have to find a way to make it happen, because it's a fantastic opportunity, you know. So I think the main thing with that is taking care of my body. So getting my butt into physical therapy consistently, going and getting massages, and then I'd say the second thing is just eating right all the time, training well, even if I'm not necessarily like at jiu-jitsu, like, you know, at work when I'm working out, you know, training well, training hard, pushing myself, and just kind of staying ready at all times.
Yeah.
Just, I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm, you know, an opportunity arises and it's like, oh crap, I'm way overweight, or oh crap, I haven't trained I haven't trained in 2 weeks, and, you know, I've been eating like crap. Like, I just stay pretty disciplined, because, you know, like I said, like, you never know when something's going to pop up or somebody's going to get hurt and they're going to give you a call and say, hey, you know, I've had Seth from Fight to Win hit me up like on a Wednesday when there's a fight to win on a Friday or Saturday, and like, hey man, you want to fight this guy? And it's like, yeah, of course, that's a great opportunity. I want to do that, and if I can make it happen, I'll definitely do my best to make that happen.
So you're looking at it like, as sometimes it could be as much as you want to compete throughout the year, but you, from the sounds of it, you're going to do a few pro events. Probably you're going to do the major tournaments, IBJJF. You know, you're competing every couple months, I would say. Is that maybe a realistic goal?
Yes, and I would say this year,
every 2-3 months.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe once a month. I would say this year though that approach is a little different, because I'm pretty fired up because I wasn't able to compete for a long time between COVID and then my surgery. When I got back, I was like, I want to compete so bad. Like, I haven't competed. Like, I want to make sure, like, I still have it. Like, I still, you know. And then ADCC is this year, too. So that's coming up, the trials in Jersey this fall. So I really, really want to be ready for that. And I think the best way to get ready for that is to keep challenging myself and going against really good guys on a consistent basis. So I've applied for every Fight to Win leading up to the event here in July, the 2 events we have at the end of July. So I'm hoping to get a call back on one of those. And I got this Jiu-Jitsu World League. Right now I'm kind of up in the air about the IBJJF Nationals in Vegas. I usually go to Vegas to compete. My sister lives out there, so it's a free spot, free place to stay, and a relatively cheap trip. And I like to see my sister here and there too. But I'm kind of up in the air about it right now. We'll see how I feel when I get done with this combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's real quickly after, especially traveling and just a couple weeks later, right?
Yeah, I've been traveling a lot recently, so kind of would like to take a little break before I dive into traveling again, you know.
Well, staying ready, Wes has got some questions about your therapy, but before we get to that, I know you're like really strict on your diet, and I just know this through like mutual friends and stuff, because we all know that Aaron is Mr. Dedication and, like, you know, always taking care of your body. You have like a 12-pack. We were at a mutual barbecue, and I noticed you weren't eating any carbs, even on a nice, fun Friday night watching the fights, or Saturday night. We were sitting there. I know this is a deep question, but overall, what does your diet consist of? I know with your work, you can prepare food, you can do meal prepping. What's your approach to eating correctly? Because for a lot of us, that's like the hardest thing to do, especially when we're not in competition mode 24/7, like most of us amateurs are. What's your approach to your diet, basically?
I really just try to eat like whole foods, you know, meat, potatoes,
whole foods,
vegetables. Mm-hmm. I try not to eat a lot of processed stuff, although I do. You know, I don't eat perfect all the time. Like, I'll polish off a bag of Doritos on a random day, or like 5 bags of gummy worms randomly. Like, I don't eat super healthy all the time. But leading up to an event, you know, if it's a 170 event, I'm right at that weight, typically, like a little over. So I'll just try to eat clean. You know, I've been cutting weight since I was 12 years old. And it got to a point with it where I was just like, you know, previously I competed at lightweight. Now I'm at middle or welterweight, depending on the organization. But I got to a point with lightweight where, was having a hard time. Got a little bit older. I was having a hard time making that weight. Even eating right, like I do typically. I was still having to cut some water weight, and
Yeah.
just feeling like crap before I competed. And the main thing from that was it made competing not fun when I'm stressed out worrying about having to make weight. So
Yeah.
now I kind of just, yeah, I eat healthy, but I eat a lot. I'll eat a lot of food, but it's typically pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
I played around with intermittent
Smart approach.
fasting. Yeah, I played around with intermittent fasting as well.
Hmm.
For a couple, I did it pretty consistently for a couple of years. I just stopped doing it like maybe like 2 months ago, and I honestly haven't felt much difference as far as like my weight and fluctuation and like energy and stuff.
Hmm.
So just taking a break from that from right now and kind of just a little less strict approach on it.
Yeah. So you're eating breakfast now and where you weren't before, or what was your window of eating, or
So
how
it
did you
was
change it or come off of it?
so I was doing the 16-hour window, um, and it works best when I have an early dinner because then I can
Yeah.
eat pretty early in the day the next day. Um, but but yeah, I was just doing 16 hours, and I've honestly never been a breakfast person. Like first thing when I wake up, I'm not like, I'm hungry. Let me get see what's. I'm
Right.
thirsty and I want coffee. So I
Yeah.
usually don't get hungry or want to eat until I've been up for like 3 or 4 hours, anyways. So main
Okay.
thing
That's
for me was
perfect
like
then.
a big mistake people make with the fasting is they think they're fasting and then they put milk in their coffee and then they get an insulin spike from that and that breaks their
Yeah.
ketosis and uh,
Yeah.
so my thing was like, all right, I'm gonna have to drink black coffee now or use monk fruit sweetener, and I kind of tried every little thing, but um,
Hmm.
yeah, taking a break from it now. I put a bunch of creamer on my coffee and start my day right. So
Yeah. It tastes better that way.
yeah, yeah, but I think it really, when I'm doing the intermittent fasting, because I've recommended it to people a lot, especially people who tell me they want to lose weight, just because
Yeah.
I've recommended it to people that I know and they've done it and been consistent with it, and like weight just
Hmm.
fell off super fast. Um,
Yeah.
but I think if any
It's
with
great for that.
anything, yeah, and I think with anything like when you're disciplined about something like your diet or disciplined about I'm going to read 10 pages out of a book every night, or if you're disciplined about I'm going to shut my phone down, when you're disciplined about a lot of things in your life, it kind of sets you up for success in jiu-jitsu, because when you're super disciplined like that, everything kind of just falls in line and you become disciplined and successful with everything as far as that goes, you know what I mean? So um,
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like if you're disciplined about your diet and other things, it just kind of leads to success on the back end in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Do you think that works? It probably works well, both ways, right? Because like, you could also say, in knowing your history, because you're so disciplined, being a wrestler, being a jiu-jitsu black belt, it helps you be disciplined in other areas, because that's just as, meaningful. Because I firmly believe that too. If you can go through like the vigorous training and the dedication that you've done over the course of your life to do combat sports is, I mean, you don't get much. You have to be disciplined to be good at these things. And I'm not saying anything that no, we don't know. Jiu-jitsu helps create that in other aspects of your life as well. So I think it goes both ways. When you just have, it's like that saying, however you do one thing, it's how you do everything, I mean,
Right.
successful people are disciplined at work. They're disciplined on the mats, their diet, it's a synergistic effect. And I can, that kind of radiates off of you knowing, just only getting to know you more over the last couple of years, but just knowing you from afar through our gym and stuff, through mutual friends. I mean, I could always tell this guy is like disciplined in all aspects of life. So it's very apparent. It's really motivating to others and to be successful in this. And that's kind of why I was asking about the competitions too, to be successful in your position. And I know you'd agree, you've already said this, but you got to keep competing. You got to stay ready. You got to be ready. It's not, I'm dipping my toes in here and there,
Yeah, you have to be all in.
yeah, you got to be all in. You don't have to be, But to be successful and to be operating at where you're at on these high level competitions and being successful, that's 100%. So,
I say that,
you
I
know,
say this all the
that,
time, and kind of like the younger kids that I used to coach and that I used to mentor that maybe can't see it now because they're in high school or they're young. But I owe everything that I have in this life, with my job, with jujitsu, with my family, with everything. I owe it all to lessons that I learned wrestling. It's the core of who I am,
mhm,
and those lessons that I learned in wrestling, they'll be with me the rest of my life. And
yeah,
that's why I always recommend young kids wrestle, because I feel like that sport really helped me grow from a boy to a man. And you take yourself to some pretty dark places in wrestling through the training and the weight
yeah,
cutting, and just everything's
yeah.
pretty brutal. So yeah, a lot of that is to definitely credit wrestling, my mindset, my discipline, and all that.
I mean, it's head and shoulders above the other sports, and especially in school, in terms of that, that it's such a grind. I mean, when I was going to school, it was just very well known. If you were going to be a wrestler, that was the hardest path to take in sports.
Man, I would probably go as far to say, like, I've trained jujitsu with some best guys in the world. At GD, we had a really good thing going a few years back. I
Hmm.
trained at Power MMA, which is a premier MMA gym in the nation at one point. And I will honestly say the hardest practices that I've had in my life were in high school wrestling, like where I throwing
Wow.
throwing up, like shaking, like can't move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I remember there'd be days like I'd be at school, like walking to practice, like I'm not going, I'm not gonna go. This is gonna suck so bad. But you make yourself go, and then you leave, and you're like, well, I didn't think I could do that, and I did it.
Yeah.
Well, that can apply to anything in life.
Totally. It builds so much confidence and character, especially at that age.
And
I
I was
mean,
super
it's
blessed to be on a premier high school wrestling program, and I was part of a state championship team with guys that wrestle in college and just good people. I was
nice.
super blessed to just be in that position to be the little 103 pounder on that team and learn from those guys. So everything just kind of fell in place like that.
Been going for a long time. I know you mentioned taking care of your body is, in addition to the diet, it's getting some physical therapy done. Tell us how often you're going. What are you doing for physical therapy? What's your approach? Is it maintenance? Is it preventive?
Yeah,
What have you been
so
doing lately in that world?
so it's a little bit of both. I have a really good relationship with my physical therapist. It's Greg McClarty. He's over at Control Physical Therapy. It's in Scottsdale. I've known him since I was a white belt, and he was a blue belt, 10 years ago. So we're buddies first, and then he's my physical therapist second. But yeah, he does a lot of studying. He goes to like a lot of seminars. He's got all types of certs, and he just really knowledgeable about PT and maintenance and all that. So um, as long as I do the exercises that he gives me and I'm consistent with everything, I usually stay pretty good. But in training and going hard, you're going to tweak something. So I try to go in once or twice a week, but there'll be points in time where my body's feeling good. I'm keeping up with my exercises, and I don't need to see him for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Um, but it kind of just varies. If I'm banged up, or if I got something bothering me, I'll hit him up and say, hey, can I come in? And um, he's really good with the dry needling. I don't know if you do that, Wes. Do you do dry
Hmm.
needling?
Yeah, I've got certification for
Yeah,
that.
and really good with that. He'll use it in conjunction with the electrodes as well. So I feel like
Hmm.
that super beneficial. I'd recommend that to anybody that's dealing with little aches and pains. You got little areas that are bothering you. But yeah, I'll typically go in like once or twice a week and get some treatment from him and chop it up. And it's always a good time. There's always some jujitsu guys in there too, so you can just sit there and chat with people. And um, I'd say the main thing that I would recommend if you're gonna go down that path and be with a physical therapist, and you already know, it's just like anything else. It's just consistency and being disciplined. And if they give you exercises to do, try your very best to do those exercises, because I typically feel like I'll have stretches where like I'm super good and disciplined about doing my exercises. And when I stop doing that, like specifically like with my shoulder right now, we're working on like a lot of end of range motion stuff. So when I'm doing my end of range motion stuff, I have a lot of flexibility in my shoulder, feels strong, doesn't bother me, it doesn't hurt to lift it up, you know? The second I fall off and I don't do it for like 4 or 5 days, I'll start to notice that some pain will be coming back, or I'll tweak it here and there. Um, so yeah, just being consistent with your exercises, and then I think the main thing is just getting in there. You know, people got a lot going on, and it's hard to set aside an hour or an hour and a half, 2 hours for physical therapy. But you know, you got to take care of your body, and I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah,
so
that's also a discipline issue.
for sure.
Is taking care of your body. You and I have had an offline conversation that I like vividly remember, where we're talking about how you consistently work with a physical therapist, and they help you stay on the mats and stay healthy and stay moving. How long have you been working with a physio or physical therapist, just in total? Because you've obviously been grappling a long time. When did that aspect come into play?
So before I went to Control with Greg, I was sponsored by another PT office called OSS, with Dr. Jenny, and I was with them for I think like 8 years. So I first started going to PT when I first started training MMA. I just got my blue belt. I was training at Power MMA, and I had some neck issues that had been giving me problems. My ribs were coming out on the back and getting popped back in, and then coming out and getting popped back in, and I just was having a ton of issues with that. So that's when I first started doing PT, and then I overtrained like really bad for probably 5 years. Between I thought that I could be an MMA fighter and then compete jiu-jitsu at the same time. So I trained twice a day every day for like 5 years, and I was always banged up and always had something going on. So I was in PT, once or twice a week during that time period. And for a number of things, I probably had a file at that place that was like 8 cabinets deep. Like it was just always something. I think I had 3. So my first year at Purple Belt, I had 3 LCL tears. Grade 1, wasn't any surgery or anything, but yeah, LCL
A lot of
tear.
recovery.
Came back feeling good. LCL tear came back. Yeah, I think I missed like almost that whole first year at Purple Belt. So I got a lot of respect for physical therapists. My last physical therapist did everything for me too. Like she was great to me. She took really good care of me, and I honestly wouldn't have been able to compete or be successful, without either of them. So if you have a good PT and it works for you, I definitely recommend it to people.
Yeah, I try and get as many people in to get somebody on board, that you at least can touch base with. Something comes up, jiu-jitsu athletes need to know, is this a major injury that can turn into something bigger, or can I train through this?
Right.
Just even having somebody that can help you work through that process. Like, this isn't anything that you need to worry about. We're going to, I'll give you some home stuff and it'll be good to go. Train on. Or, okay, we got to shut it down for a month and really dig in and then return you back to sport.
Yeah.
And I find it's probably just, my experience in jiu-jitsu, I find a lot of jiu-jitsu athletes don't have anybody that they can turn to that can give them that advice. They don't work with anybody on the rehab end. And so, I obviously advocate for physical therapy a lot. If I tell people go get a physical therapist on board, it's like, well, it's different coming from me. But when we have, you here, high level athlete, has been working with a physio for probably over a decade,
Yeah, right about 10 years. That was 2011 when I first started training MMA. So yeah, we're right at 10 years.
Yeah. So, um, that's the proof's in the pudding, right? So, now can you tell us, you've mentioned a couple times you've had a surgery. Can you kind of walk us through what happened with that and how the rehab process went to get you here today?
Yeah, so COVID popped off. Um, I obviously wasn't like doing jujitsu. Everything was kind of shut down. So I was lucky enough to where like at work, we have a full weight room. So if I was at work, I was working out, and then I would work out before I left. So I was lifting really heavy at the time. And on top of that, we were also doing stuff we call breathe downs. This is where you put all your gear on, you go on air, and you just work until your bottle runs out of air. Right? So we're doing that in the summer. I'm working hard. I'm just trying to stay in shape during all this craziness. Um, right about July, I got a text from Seth for Fight to Win, and he offered me a fight against a really good guy. His name's John Combs, guy that I respect and I've been a fan of for a long time. So of course I took it. So by then it was the summertime, so gyms had opened up. So I started training really hard, going at it. About 2 weeks into I had like 4 weeks to get ready for this event. About 2 weeks into it, my arm just started getting swollen. When I would train, it would get full. I would have that feeling almost like tendonitis. Forearm would be full, and then I had a little bit of pain in my bicep tendon. Uh, so we treated it as such, that it was like a bicep tendon thing or a shoulder thing. Just kind of had like a little bit of pain in my arm, but it only happened when I was training, and it would go away. Um, so leading up to the event, the swelling got worse, and I think it was like the Wednesday before the event. I got done training. It was like my last hard training session, and my arm just ballooned up. Like it was just huge, like twice the size of the other arm. So I went to the doctor the next day. Not my PT, my regular primary care. They assumed that it was a lymphatic issue. So I was like, well, it's not causing me a ton of pain. Am I good to go compete this weekend? Like, yeah, we're going to get you on this medication, and we're going to give you this type of lymphatic massage. You should be good to go. So I went to Austin and competed for Fight to Win. Little did I know, I had 4 blood clots in my arm caused by thoracic outlet syndrome that I didn't find out until I got back. But yeah, I fought a 10-minute match at Fight to Win, and I was like 2 minutes into the match. I was like super gassed. Well, obviously, like blood wasn't flowing the right way. I was like, okay, something's wrong. So I came back and I went to my doctor. They sent me out for imaging, and from imaging, they sent me to the ER. So thoracic outlet syndrome, for you guys that don't know, uh, basically you have your first rib right here by your collarbone. That was compressed on a vein, so it pinched it off like a hose, right? It caused me to get 4 blood clots in my arm. The first one started up here, and the last one ended down by my wrist. So I had to go see a vascular surgeon. We got it moving pretty quick, the rehab and the surgery and all that. I think between when they diagnosed me with it and like I had surgery, I think it was like less than 2 weeks that we got moving. So they went in, they removed my first rib, which is a useless bone. I guess you don't need it at all, correct? Yeah. So they removed the first rib.
That's what they tell you.
Yeah, right. They didn't even let me keep it either, which is wanted to keep it, but they didn't let me do it. But they did a venogram. They removed the clots, and then I was on blood thinners, and I was on the couch for the next 4 months. It was pretty tough. I've never had a major surgery before. I've had, like I said, LCL tears and meniscus tear, little things that kept me out for a couple months at a time, but I never had anything like major like this before. So, like I couldn't lift more than 10 pounds for like the first month. That was the rule. I couldn't lift more than 10 pounds. So the most I could do was like walk my dog around the block. But after about a month or so, I started doing PT, and my PT, Greg, had already had everything set up and ready to go. Like, he studied the crap out of thoracic outlet syndrome, and we had a whole game plan. Everything was set to go. So, man, I think the recovery time for it was like 4.5, 5 months, and I think I was like back at work training hard jiu-jitsu like in like 4.5 months, like no pain, feeling good, feeling 100%. So during that time period, obviously I was going to PT a lot more,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3 times a week. But yeah, I owe a lot to him for doing a good job setting me up for success on that end.
Nice.
Yeah, and for the listeners, Aaron and I had talked a little bit offline. The whole time he's going through this, we had talked about, you had ADCC on your brain the whole time.
Yeah, that was my main thing. That's been I missed it in 2019. I was in the fire academy during the trials, so I wasn't able to do the trials or compete in the ADCC. So it's been on my mind for a long time. That's been the goal, is to make it to the ADCC. That's like every jiu-jitsu guy's main goals. That's the Olympics of jiu-jitsu. To make it there, just to make it there alone, is like huge freaking deal. So yeah, that's kind of been in the back of my head, driving me for most of the stuff that I've been doing, is just thinking about ADCC trials coming up and having success there.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's not only to take off your mat, but that's like a life-threatening condition, Obviously, if you're getting any type of blood clots, that's a big thing to come over mentally too. But I think just your determination and your dedication and really your physical fitness probably helped you bounce back really quickly. I mean, you see that a lot with high-level athletes. I mean, and that's a testament to that. That is why you stay fit, stay ready all the time, because something comes at you like that. Something like that can really knock somebody down for a year. Let's be honest. If you're not dedicated and doing the physical, if you're not coming back and doing the physical therapy and recovering and having the mindset of just pushing through, just mentally, it can really knock your dick in the dirt, for lack of a better term. I mean, that we all know that injuries can really, really have an effect on you mentally and coming back. But something like that, like that's a serious thing. Like if it continued to go undetected, something more serious could have happened. So
for sure. And then even after
to come back 4 months later and compete like you did, or whatever it was at Emerald City, and with a great performance, hats off to you, man. I mean, what a great recovery, and to your team as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. I feel like it kind of all had to happen for me to be in the position I am now, because something like that happens. It was a jiu-jitsu and career threatening injury where if that vein was messed up and the clots didn't go away, I was going to be on blood thinners the rest of my life, which you can't be a firefighter or do jiu-jitsu on blood thinners. I might be able to do like a little John Danaher thing, like coaching a rash guard off in the corner, but I'm not going to be able to compete or do my job. So you're sitting around on a couch for 4 months, like not training, not doing, I mean, obviously, like, I'm go all the time. So for me to just sit around, and like, it was cool for like the first week, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. So for me to be just stuck like that, like, you think, and you don't take things for granted. So like, I don't know how many times where I've taken jiu-jitsu for granted or competition for granted. And like, I think that's really what lit the fire under me, was like, okay, I just had this major surgery. I don't really know what's gonna happen with it in the future either. So I want to do what I can. Like, I'd also say probably the fact that I'm 31, almost 32 years old, competing at the adult black belt level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to compete at that division, because these younger guys are coming up and they're super athletic and young and fast. And, I feel like my time competing at the adult level, although it feels like it just began, is also probably coming to an end here in the next 3 or 4 years. So I feel like I really just want to make a statement right now while I'm here, and do the very best that I can. I feel like I'm on the Josh Hinger plan. Josh Hinger is kind of like my motivation because
Yeah.
he won 3 no-gi black belt world titles after the age of 30. And obviously, like winning a no-gi world title is a gold mine, but it's kind of my motivation for that. Like the guys figured out a way to do it late in life,
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, guys, everyone, listeners, go follow Aaron Wilson, BJJ, on Instagram. He's got a big one coming up. Where can we watch Combat Jiu-Jitsu?
UFC Fight Pass.
Where can we watch your next match? UFC Fight Pass?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is Sunday, June 6th, right?
Yep. I believe it's on at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So.
Okay, perfect.
Saturday
we'll
during the
definitely
day.
be watching that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I don't think I've ever been more excited for an event before, so it's really cool.
Are you staying out for any kind of R&R before or after, or what's your schedule? Or when are you going to Mexico?
So I get in on Friday. The event's on Sunday. So yeah, I'm gonna be chilling in a robe.
Just partying it up.
Yeah, well, not partying, but
well,
I'll definitely
I'm
be
joking.
in a robe, drinking out of a coconut, just relaxing beforehand.
There you go.
I don't
Taking in
like
some sun.
Yeah, I'm not going to be thinking about the fight at all. I typically don't do that anyways. There's like
Really?
no reason for it for me. Hey, you stress yourself out, you overthink stuff, I'll start thinking about it like a couple hours beforehand.
Obsessing.
All right, it's time to get in that zone. If you're in that zone too long, it'll start messing with your head. So
Yeah,
relax,
for sure.
get it out of your mind, get some rest, have a good time, and then when it's time to make it happen, you can get in that fight zone.
Beautiful. Well, we'll be watching. I can't wait to see you compete there and at Fight to Wins. I know you'll be on a couple cards, at least a couple, probably by the end of the year. Brother, thanks for coming on. Wes, you got anything else?
Much. No. If you're in Scottsdale, you're in Arizona, you need a good physical therapist. Hit up Control Physical Therapy. They've got a good record. They obviously work with Aaron. They work with Josh Guerra, who we've had on the podcast. And you can follow them is it Control Physical Therapy on Instagram? Do you know?
Yes, I think it's Control_Physical Therapy. Yeah. And I don't think I mentioned this either, but Greg's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu as well, so he understands the techniques and the injuries, and he's probably had all of the injuries that people are coming in. He's probably worked on himself, So real good understanding of jiu-jitsu and how those injuries work. So yeah, definitely check him out.
Beautiful.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you coming on.
Control_physical_therapy_
Yes.
on Instagram. Go check. You'll type in Control Physical Therapy. It'll come up. Follow Aaron Wilson, BJJ, on Instagram. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Aaron, for joining.
I appreciate it.
And we will see everyone next week. Thank you.